Welcome to today's webinar. Today's webinar is focused on Lan Ring switches, all available models, their advantages and their typical applications. In addition, we added information to News Planet by the end of 2021. Okay, let's go to the webinar. We are constantly updating the webinars. In the current version, we have added, among other things, new information to these points since the last version. I will start by mentioning a few important details about the webinar. By successfully completing the test at the end of the webinar, you will have access to the following benefits. The first benefit is the access to the VIP part of our website, where you can register your designs and based on that receive project discounts, higher than standard discounts. The second benefit is extended LLW, limited lifetime warranty, 5 years from the end of product model production. Completing the test is of course voluntary. Successfully passed tests will be confirmed by issued certificate that we will send to you. The certificate validity is 6 months, during which you can extend its validity by attending other webinars or trainings. Due to the COVID, we are currently focused mainly on webinars, including practical use of the products. Here, you can see the VIP part of our website with the project registration system. We will start with one of the announced innovations, our converters of serial lines RS485 and Bus2 LAN. The mini LAN 4B2 converters are two-channel. The main reason why we have prepared them are transmission of the bus-to bus of the ARM-based secure system via LAN. Have a converter with at least two RS485 buses, which is often required in Galaxy applications. This and the following slides are block diagrams illustrating typical applications. The start of production of the mini LAN 4B2 converters changes to mini LAN devices do not end. We are working on another design that has a light version and a modular version. The aim of the light version is to replace the mini LAN 485 and 232 converters at the same time and keep the price. The modular version has a slot for IF modules from the IP-log platform. As a result, a wide range of inputs, outputs, and serial interfaces will be available. In addition, with a full-fledged PoE PD module. On the slide, you can see all available models of the industrial managed switches and their main advantages, which I will explain later as we go along. The smallest one is the 4-port switch 2G2S02F. We currently produce versions with PoE 30, 60 and 95 watts per port. All will replace a new version with an output of up to 95 watts this year, from one port and support a wide spectrum of PoE standards. This PoE design change has already taken place for the 2G, 2S, point 1, point 4 switches and will gradually take place for all switches. We are still working to improve the design. The latest result of this effort is the new 2 less DIN holders for our Lan Ring switches, PLC iPilot and s.r.o module. The next industrial switches are 5 ports 2G, 2 s.r.o modules with 2 SFP slots and 3 PoE plus fast Ethernet ports. The switches are also equipped with programmable digital alarm inputs and relay. In addition, there are 2 universal RS485 buses with very low latency compatible with Modbus, I/O modules, and alarm systems Galaxy and Asset. These additional outputs are stereo lines are one of the advantages that make our switches multifunctional. In our portfolio, we have also WDM SFP modules. Recently, we added also SFP plus WDM module for 10 gigabit links. Difference between our SFP and SFP plus modules are the endings. SFP modules are SC standard compatible and SFP plus modules are LC standard compatible. All modules are working from -40 to +70 degrees. We always recommend checking the optical pads with an OTDR reflectometer before installing the switches. So if you are preparing a budget from the implementation of the project, there should also be an item for measuring with a reflectometer. We have many practical examples where this measurement revealed installation errors and saved later costs for solving data transmission problems. These 5-port switches 2G203FC are an economical version of the previous model 2G203F. Does not include PoE digital alarm inputs, relays, and RS485 buses. But these switches are still very well protected against overvoltages. For example, the fast Ethernet ports are able to withstand 150 amperes pulses. Although the switches are sold under the name Lan Ring, it could easily imply that they are the only ring topology compatible. That's not true. You can use our switches as any topology. Point-point, bus, star, ring, mesh. It is not limited. But the ring has an advantage in a very fast recovery, always slower than 30 milliseconds. The European Standard for Surveillance Systems in the security applications also says that the system should be designed in such a way to provide a minimum mean time between failures, 16,000 hours. Due to that, please always consider using redundant topology. As you can see on the slide, the star topology is dangerous, and a failure of a single device can result in the loss of connection with a large part of the network. Solution can be Lan Ring topology with a very fast reconfiguration or mesh topology control via the RSTP protocol. One of the most important security measures is to keep safe traffic levels in all network segments. The already mentioned European standard requires a maximum load of 75% of the maximum available bandwidth in each network segment. In the Czech Republic and neighboring countries, we are also able to help customers directly at installations with network traffic analysis. We use a so-called network multimeter with a built-in SSD disk. The analysis is performed online or later on data stored on an SSD disk. In the picture on the right, you can see, for example, traffic in segment with an average load of 20%. However, due to the bursting traffic, you can see a short moments with a 100 load. During these short moments, it is possible that some packets are lost. At 20% load, however, there is still enough free space for the server to request the packet again. With loads about 75%, this can be a problem. TCP and UDP multicast streams have the greatest influence on the transmission load. We generally recommend using TCP-based streams for recording, but multicast is a better solution for clients, especially if there are a larger number of them. As can be seen in the slide, if multiple multicast clients are looking at the same shot from the camera, unlike TCP clients, they use only one stream. The IGMP protocol, which is supported by all our switches, is used to properly route multicast streams only to ports with clients. Due to the procedure of security system design, please think about interaction between system elements which can improve the system functionality and its added value. It is a part of the critical infrastructure where security is in the first place. Due to that, the state operator decided to use Pelco VMS and cameras, which is an US production, and Metal Lan Ring switches produced by us in the European Union. Next, 5-port switches include 5 metallic fast Ethernet ports. And are mostly used as a part of the access control systems, which you can see on the picture on the left, or as a part of the evacuation audio system, which you can see on the picture on the right. These switches 2G214F PoE are in production in the 3rd generation. They are fully equipped, which means strong overvoltage protections up to 1000 amperes, programmable digital alarm inputs and relays, RS485 buses, redundant power inputs, support up to 95 watts PoE. See the following slide. A new 2021 design is already in production, which replaces the older PP switches with 60 watts PoE. And also substitute to the HP versions with 95 watts PoE. The new PP version supports a maximum of 170 watts on 4 ports up to 95 watts PoE from 1 port. As you can see, the new PP switches support the IEEE 802.3 AF, AT, BT, POH, and UPoE standards. The new PP switches differ from the older ones in code. The other name remains the same. We have also tested if the PoE over 30 watts can work on existing Cat5e cabling. Some customers afraid about that, so we made the test with thermal camera. The Cat5 cable carrying 100 watts PoE was warm only about 2 degrees. For new applications, of course, it's better to use Cat6 cables to reduce unnecessary power losses in cable roads. Another measure against low voltage at the end of the cable are power supplies. Hose output voltage is adjusted to 56 volts. Some customers are also not sure what solution is better, whether centralized power supply 24 volts AC or power over Ethernet. We strongly recommended using power over Ethernet because all IP cameras are Gulf separated, which means that there could not be problems with ground loops. PoE system is also very well protected against shortcuts, and it is possible to be monitored and controlled via SNMP. As you have seen, the most of the switches include RS485 buses. On the slide are its possible models. Switches are often used as the transmission path for the intrusion systems. Due to the switches are tested every 3 years in test alarm laboratories for NN 50131.1 compatibility. The certification is always confirmed by the Czech National Security Authority. Always separate different systems between each other via VLANs and assigns its data with priorities. It minimizes interferences between systems and also reduces risk of intrusion. Especially, it is important when the Lan Ring system is used as the transmission path for buses of the alarm systems. Typical examples are Systems Galaxy from Honeywell and Asset from Fights. In such applications, the switches must be powered from the backup sources of alarm systems. Here, you can see valid certificates available on our website www.metel.eu. The next possible mode at RS485 buses in the TCP mode, often used for connections of different kinds of sensors or ACS readers. Or you can connect to each RS485 bus up to the 30 Modbus, EO modules or sensors. Modbus is a worldwide standard, so you can mix our EO modules with the third-party EO modules and sensors. In our assortment, we have 10 different kinds of I/O modules with a wide range of available inputs and outputs. This 5-port model is mechanically very similar to the previous 5-port models. The main difference is in metallic ports, which are not 100 megabits but are 1 gigabits. Due to these switches are an optimal solution for connection of ANBRS servers, clients, and etc. All Lan Ring switches without distinction contain the menu extension with the submenu events. There you can configure up to 64 automatic actions. I will show you a simple example. Here you can see One example of how we improve security of the security system. The operators receive directly in the video management software important information about system status such as battery voltages, IEEE 802X authentication faults, alarms from perimeter systems, tamper, and etc. In this way, we also simplified operators' work and their system supervision over the system. This example also presents how two Lan Ring switches cooperate with IP-log PLCs. Switches function as a transmission pad and the PLC as a unit for processing system information. Therefore, please do not think of the PLC as something strictly for automation. Our PLCs with Linux OS are in many cases part of the sophisticated security systems. They connect the world of security systems, IT, and automation. Here, you can see how it appears in the Pelco software client. Directly in the video management software, we can display the important system information. Please take the example with Pelco VMS as an example only. We can certainly implement a similar method of integration with another VMS which you prefer. In situations where you need to set more complex logic, I recommend using PLC IP-log. The example you can see on the slide. The PLC is running a control program. It reads temperatures from Modbus sensors connected to the switches and controls valves connected to the relay outputs of the I/O modules. Next example is the controlling of Lan Ring or IP-log relays directed from the VMS. We use for this the original Pelco plugin dispatch using Modbus TCP communication. Again, please take the example with Pelco VMS as an example only. We can certainly implement a similar method of integration with another VMS which you prefer. Here, you can see it in a short video. In case you are interested, we can show you practically how these functions are configured. All necessary hardware and also Pelco VMS after EQ visualization software we can present online during practical webinars. Here, you can practically see how the relay outputs are controlled directly from the operator's screen. Does not matter if relays are on the Lan Ring switch, PLC IP-log or its I/O modules. This is the first model in a series of 10-inch switches. It has 10 ports, including 2 combo port uplinks and 8 fast Ethernet ports, with a high level of surge protection and up to the 95 watts PoE. It can be installed in the 10-inch cabinet or in a flat surface or DIN 35 rail. And with reduction in the 19-inch cabinets, the reduction is compatible with all 10 inches model. These certificates are valid for the stationary installations on the railways. We pass these tests because hundreds of our switches are installed on the railway stations, crossing in tunnels, or along the high-speed corridors. Assuming that the switch is connected as a floating device together with the connected devices, the protection is functional up to 2 kA. During overvoltage, the switch including the connected IP devices, potentially shifts to a plus or minus. The shift is limited only by the lightning arrestor between GND and PE. This connection is also in accordance with the LAN network standards and guarantees maximum protection efficiency. In the picture, you can see the operation of the surge protection. During the pulse, only the lightning arrestor flashes without destroying the printed circuit board and surrounding components. Of course, surge protectors have their limits, and we never claim to provide 100% protection. What we claim, and have many years of practical experience with, is that surge protectors in our facility significantly increase their reliability regardless of the surrounding conditions. And this is what it looks like when the device is without surge protection. We adhere to strict internal company rules. In addition to the basic electromagnetic compatibility standards of the EN 61000 series, where pulses are applied through the 40 ohm resistors. We are also using standard for testing of the surge protection with only 2 ohms output resistance. Thanks to the integrated overvoltage protections, our devices have a high reliability even in outdoor applications. For their maximum efficiency, we recommend ensuring lighting protection and good grounding in accordance to the standard EN 62305.1. These 9-port switches could not be connected directly to the optical ring, but are an optimal solution for remote places such as outdoor parking lots. Combo ports you can use as a fiber optic or metallic gigabit uplink, and the 8 FEPOE ports for connecting of local cameras, intercoms, IP speakers, and other IP devices. These 10-port switches are very popular on the railway stations because all ports allow you to use fibers. This is very good prevention against problems caused by overvoltages and electromagnetic interferences, which is a very common problem on railways. Another feature that allows the trouble-free installation of our Lan Ring switches on the railway is the galvanic separation of their electronics from the housing. So the switches can be powered not only from the positive power supply used in the security systems, but also from the negative ones, which is a standard on railways. This year is crucial for us for 2 reasons. The first reason is the start of production of the first switches with 10 gigabit port. These are already being produced. The second is the launch of the first L23 switches with 10 gigabit ports with Linux OS, the so-called CPU G series. We planned to introduce both innovations last year. Unfortunately, COVID-19 has significantly complicated these developments. This is why we are introducing innovations this year. Therefore, we decided to postpone the launch of the innovations for a year and devote the time gained to the transition to the new kernel 5.10. Among other things, our goal is to unify operating system switches with PLC IP lock. This will unify the configuration via the web, SSH, and simulant. And its G version will be available in 4th quarter at latest. Among other things, It brings support for LATSP and MSTP protocols, support PLC functionality, and writing custom applications. In this and the following slide, I will explain the differences between the CPU-F and CPU-G series. F series are L2 switches with FE, GE, FO ports, inputs, outputs, and serial lines. You need separate control units for their control or for processing alarms for the PIDS system. While the G series has enough computing power to run a control program that monitors the inputs and controls the outputs based on the set logic. Our switches can perform a variety of customer applications. As an example, we can use alarm processing from a perimeter system. So the switch transmits data. At the same time, it can monitor the opening of the switchboard door, detect movement in the surrounding area, control PTS cameras, etc. Currently, we are producing two 19 inches industrial switches. This is the first model optimized for connections for up to 16 PoE devices. It also includes 4 gigabit combo ports and 3 gigabit uplinks. Usually, these switches are used in buildings where there is a high density of IP equipments. On the slide is one example from Poland, where our partner successfully used these switches in a prison with more than 115 cameras. The switches are also used as a transition path for the intrusion system Galaxy from Honeywell. The second 19 inches switches are more dedicated to NVRs, servers interconnection with an optical backbone. In accordance to the EN standard, we recommend using max 75% load in each segment. This is one example from the successful application. A private company in Italy used these switches for protection of their service center. Thanks to the flexible Lan Ring infrastructure, they created a highly secure system consisting of the IP CCTV system, perimeter system, and control I/O modules. Tennis models are going to have two successors with two 10 gigabits uplinks. Also, these switches will be produced in two versions, F and G. It was all for the switches. We will continue with the next IP devices. On the slide, you can see our industrial fast Ethernet media converter. In addition to very good surge protection, they are also unique thanks to the blue switch on the front panel. The blue switch can be configured so that the media converter monitors the presence of an optical signal. In the Lan Ring switch, you can configure the IP watchdog pinging IP cameras connected to the media converter. When a camera is frozen, not working because of a bad firmware and does not respond to the pings, the Lan Ring switch will automatically turn off the FO port. The media converter will detect it and turn off the PoE on the fast Ethernet port in a few seconds. A switch will turn on the FO port and the media converter, which enables PoE. This was an example of how to automatically restart a not working camera. Another client is using our media converters underground sliding columns. We have been developing the Unified Simulant Configuration tool for the configuration of all Lan Ring devices for more than 10 years. Unlike the web interface, the work allows you to manage projects and configure multiple devices at once. Simulant includes a number of advanced configuration tools such as quick setup for bulk change of IP parameters and PoE settings, topology for automatic scanning and display of topology, tool download for bulk download of configuration from all available devices, tool upload for bulk upload configuration to all available devices, tool upgrade for firmware upgrade. Firmware are part of Simulant and therefore do not need to be downloaded. And last but not least, the status menu with logs. In large systems, it's necessary to make regular configuration backups. This is especially important if the system is configured with more than one technicians. In this video, you can see how to easily solve such situations. Simulant also includes a tool for automatic backup. This solution was prepared for applications on railway stations around the Czech Republic. For security reasons, Simulant lets you to know that your password is too short. And on the hard disk saves only its hash. In addition to basic public MIB files and variables, our switches offer hundreds of so-called private variables for detailed system monitoring. With their help, the system can be monitored or directly visualized in various software. The system monitoring options are very detailed. We support all three kinds of SNMP communication methods: SNMP GET and TRAP for reading statuses, and SNMP SET for controlling outputs and devices features. It is necessary to consider differences between SNMP GET and SNMP TRAP. Both methods allow you to monitor devices, but SNMP GET needs a request for each read value. This procedure takes some time as it is not usable for monitoring large quantities of inputs. It is better to use SNMP trap method, which does not require sending requests and statuses are sent spontaneously. IEEE 802X protocol is a very popular tool for users' authentication. It is able to block access to the network for unauthorized users, but that is all. In our implementation, we added important features which help you to increase security. All unauthorized users are immediately reported via the SNMP traps to the visualization software, so the potential attacker could be captured immediately and does not have time for network intrusion. We do not only think about business, but also about supporting students. On the left, is the result of bachelor's thesis of CTU University in Prague, student with help of our PLC IPO. To the right of the picture is an example from a collaboration with the Polish University. Students use our media converters to communicate with their submarine, which is controlled by an optical cable. Deepest dive is more than 100 meters. Thank you for watching this webinar.